Well, hello. Welcome to another episode of For What It's Earth podcast. I say another. I'm hoping that you've listened to our back catalogue. I'm making wild assumptions there about our listeners. If you're new, welcome along all the same. We are a sustainability, nature, climate action podcast that tries to make big green issues bite-sized, and we explore whether there's anything that we can do to try and help save the planet, even just a little bit. I'm Emma.
And I'm Sophie. Thank you very much for joining us here along our journey as we try to navigate living our slightly greener lives and having a few laughs with us along the way as we stumble and fumble.
Fumble?
And have I said tumble?
You have now. I like it. In this episode, if you can't tell, we're going nuts. Both literally and topically. We're talking about nuts. Are they a superfood? Are they perhaps a climate problem? Or excitingly, do they present climate solutions?
I'm particularly intrigued about that bit. But yeah, it feels like nuts.
This is going to be such a silly episode.
More omnipresent than ever. I feel like they're finding our ways. I feel like they're finding ways into our diets, our lifestyles, across social media. They're becoming like such an aesthetic, I feel.
Ooh.
Certainly in my life.
Do you find yourself surrounded by nuts frequently?
Frequently, yeah. All different kinds. I feel like we seem to be at a kind of crossroads between health. So nuts are very much becoming popular for their health benefits as a dietary thing, but also the potential environmental impacts of nuts. So we thought we could do a bit of a deep dive and see where we're at with our nuts.
Can't wait. Two regular squirrels, you and I. We start every episode with one particular question, not nut related this time.
Oh.
Sophie, what one good thing, where have you buried your nuts this year? No, what one good thing have you done for the planet this week?
So I've got 2 trips to Scotland coming up, one for work, one for play. The one for work is next week, and when the classic question of how are you going to get to Edinburgh came up for the book festival, everyone was like, why don't you fly? It's so quick, so convenient.
Ugh.
You can fly from Exeter, woo! And for a moment, I was very tempted because I was like, actually, it would mean taking less time off work. I could get there, like be in the zone of everything, just like see people. But then A, flying was expensive. B, I didn't feel comfortable doing that. And C, it was just faff. And then I remembered, because I've done it before, but years ago, and I forgot that Exeter has a direct train
Get on.
to Edinburgh. And you leave at 6 a.m, you get there after lunch.
Lovely.
I love long train travel.
That'll do.
So
You don't have to
booked,
change?
No, direct.
Ideal. You can just bed in.
I know. Just get there, set up, hopefully on a table, sprawl out over the seat.
Yeah, make it really
Be
uncomfortable
like,
for
oh, no,
anyone else to sit next to
my
you.
friend is just coming. She's just in the toilet.
If you have enough snacks that it looks like there's 2
just
of you.
really spread out, plug in.
Yeah.
Don't speak to anyone. Yeah, so I'm doing that. And then in October, Mum and I are getting the train to Glasgow because we're going to do the West Highland Way together.
Are you actually?
Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
Literally just booked it this week, like spur of the moment. She very tentatively was like, would you ever...
Maybe.
I don't suppose you would ever... so I really want to, like, very hesitantly asking. I was like...
To which the
100%.
answer was almost certainly going to be yes.
Yeah. So we're going to get the train again. She mused the sort of, do you think we should fly to save time, to get out on the trail quicker? But we're going to get the train.
I'm so excited for you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
I look forward to lots of updates of you and your mum doing the West Highland
train.
Way, honestly.
Yeah,
or on the train, also fine.
We hopefully will get on. Of course we will.
You will. You will.
She was like, maybe we could listen to like an audiobook together on our headphones. I was like, sharing a wire, going up a crag. Oh,
you pulled it out.
But yeah, sorry, massive digression. What's your one good thing that you've done for our planet?
So this week, you and I both are customers of Octopus Energy.
We are, yes.
Lovely pals that do good renewable energy things. They also offer a lovely incentive. If you can persuade a pal to sign up for Octopus Energy, basically you get 50 quid and they get 50 quid. So I've done that with my colleague and friend Matthew, and he's just moved house. And I was like, mate, do you use Octopus? Not because I wanted the 50 quid, although when I remembered that was on offer, 100%. Sure, I'll have it. I'll take the 50 quid. I'm not saying no to it. But he's just moved house and wanted to get himself set up
Housewarming gift.
doing Yeah, here's 50 quid off your next energy bill. And you're now set up to
Honestly,
be renewable.
What greater gift than that?
If anyone else wants 50 quid, get in touch with me and Sophie. We've got discount codes. Not discount codes. Referral numbers.
We could. And if you're listening, Octopus.
Actually, that was half a joke, but maybe that's a serious quick. Yeah.
ForwhatIt'sEarthPod@gmail.com.
Lovely job. There we go. Yes, so that's what I've done. I've not really done anything good myself, but Matthew's done good on my behalf.
It's better than I was going to say it's better than a bottle of wine, but when you move house, is it? It's an invisible present, but he'll reap the benefits later. He's got a clear conscience now.
Exactly. I've absolved him of climate guilt. And
he can go do whatever he wants now.
Yeah.
Go for it, Matthew.
Go burn some coal in the garden. Sorry, yes, nuts. Bring it back. Let's chat nuts. Would you like a definition?
Yeah, what is a nut, please?
Hold on, I've got two. So there is a biological... Sorry.
What?
There is a botanical definition of a nut. And that is a singular seed belonging to a dry fruit, which is contained in a hard shell. And this doesn't normally open in order to release the seed until it reaches full maturity.
Release the seed.
Geronimo! So think chestnuts, hazelnuts, and acorns.
Cute.
Lovely. Just something we're all familiar with. Mm-hmm. But then there are this other world of seeds that are basically masquerading as nuts, but we sell them as nuts. We know them as nuts. And for the duration of this episode, we'll be including them in the nut family conversation.
Go on.
So these are not technically true nuts if we're going from like a botanical, if we're going to be...
Botanical about things.
Yes, let's be botanical about things. So things like almonds, pistachios, pecans, and walnuts and cashews, these are actually referred to as drupes.
Drupes? That's what's happening to my microphone all the time.
We've got nuts, we've got drupes, there's all sorts happening here today. But basically this is a seed with a hard protective shell on the outside, but on the inside, enclosed by like a fleshy fruit on the outside. So if you think about...
I was literally thinking of a plum.
Sure. If we were to eat
plum is not a drupe.
The seedy bit. Yeah. But basically, you can imagine that as like a useful way of looking at. You've got the flesh on the outside, you've got the stone on the inside, except that inside the stell, you've got
like a kernel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Sure. We'll call it that. Yeah. So, for example, a walnut. When you pluck it off a tree, it doesn't look like the wrinkly brain that you buy.
No.
Kind of looks like an apple or a kiwi or something, and that's the fleshy bit.
It's very difficult to access it's got the brain, as it were.
Yeah, then the brain lies within. Oh. And then you have to crack the brain, and then you get the actual meaty nut bit on the inside.
When someone says nut, what's the first nut you think of?
Probably walnuts. You'll gather from this episode that I've experienced a bit of an obsession with them in the last 12 months.
She's had a journey with a walnut.
Oh, me and the walnuts. Yep. We've got stories to tell.
Oh.
Actually, that's probably setting up a bit strong.
Hang on to your hats, listeners.
Yeah. Well, what about you? Do you have a favourite nut?
I was going to say walnut, but
Top
I also...
It's
fine. I've heard a lot of good things about Brazil nuts recently from an omega
Have you?
standpoint. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I like the size of them.
Yeah.
Really crunchy.
Sure.
Yeah.
They're a nice surprise. There's never enough of them in the bags.
No.
You know when you get like a mixed bag?
You get when you're just like, oh, hello.
Look at this beefy boy.
Yummy. Also, macadamia nuts are a real treat, like roasted in a cookie.
Yes.
One of
white chocolate macadamia nut
when
cookies.
I used to work at Cotswolds, it was in a farm shop. I won't say which one. Although I don't...
Well, have you though?
And the bakery did incredible macadamia nut cookies. And I just happened to buy one every shift. And then I realised I was spending like half of my wages just on cookies. No regrets. But yeah, I like macadamia, I like an almond.
Yeah.
But as we'll find out, there is an element of difference between each nut's environmental impact if we're going to get into the nitty gritty. Or the nutty, should we say nutty gritty? Nutty gritty. Nutty gritty.
Yeah, we could. I like that moving forward. Yeah.
Are you going to quiz me first?
I hold your horses. It's time for mini quiz.
Mini quiz. Mini quiz. Mini quiz.
Sophie. In my research, I came across some really fun nut names.
Okay, real nuts.
Which of these, for you to decide.
Okay, this is the thing, right?
Which of these is not a real nut? The red bopple nut, the shagbark hickory nut, the
Hickory dickory
mongogo nut, or the filibert nut.
Again from the top?
Shagbark hickory nut.
As fast as you can?
Sorry, shagbark hickory nut. I can have a stroke. The red bopple nut, the mongogo nut, or the filbert nut.
Goodness me. Which one isn't real or
Which
is
one of
real?
these is not a real nut?
I can't remember any of them.
Well,
I'm going to say mongogo. Because
they're all real because I didn't have time to think about a fake name.
They're all real.
These are all real
What's
nuts.
the shagbark hickory dickory dock one?
The shagbark hickory nut. I'm going to have to Google it again because I can't remember.
Shagbark hickory nut, hickory dickory dock.
Well, it's the edible fruit of the shagbark hickory tree. Would you believe it?
You know what I'm thinking and realising very quickly is there is so much we don't know about our planet.
Yes. They look a bit like a walnut, actually.
Okay.
They're
Walnuts are not
looking
easy
very
to say.
walnutty.
The hickory dickory one.
Yes. Well, there we go. In the vein of celebrating things, I thought let's celebrate how we've named some of our wonderful nuts.
We've done well there. It's a bit like fungi, isn't it?
Yes.
Shaggy parasol, beefsteak. It's a bit
good
more
stuff
tangible
there.
though than the 4 or 5 you just said.
Yeah, the red bopple nut.
Red bopple. What was the middle one? Just one more time.
Filibert or filbert nut.
Filibert. It sounds like if someone was like, "Hi, my name's Phil."
Yeah.
If he said my
No, filbert.
yeah, I'd be like, cool.
Quite like that actually.
Filbert.
Put that on the list.
Like Wilbert. Yeah, Filbert.
Right, let's talk problems then, shall we?
Happily, yeah. How long have we got?
The classic between 45 minutes and an hour.
Okay, so as I said at the beginning, the demand for nuts seems higher than ever, and in fact it actually is, according to several studies, and partly, and this doesn't surprise me, I'd be interested to know if it surprises you, due to Gen Zs, so the generation below us, for we're old millennials, their power in dictating food trends over social media like TikTok and things, taking pictures of their breakfast bowls, their gym snacks, their, I don't know, any kind of snack, often involves nuts as like the superfood to add and top salads, meals, curries, everything. And then they're very well-proven benefits in cognition, in heart health, in anti-inflammatory stuff, in cholesterol levels. So actually our generation is part of this story. So there was a study that found 80% of millennials prefer a snack, if they're going to snack at all, if there is high nutrition, if the nutrition quality is high.
Right.
Of that snack options, nuts was one of the top ones.
Okay.
That's one of the best. Reach for a handful of nuts.
Yeah.
Of an afternoon. They're a great source of protein and of B vitamins for vegans and veggies. So if we have any plant-based people in the room, and if you want to increase your protein, nuts are a really good source of that, kind of packed with it really. But all of this kind of positions nuts as a really high in demand product, which comes with a whole host of impacts really for the environment, doesn't it?
Now, I think we're talking about commercial nut production, really, aren't we? When we're talking about global trends in eating more nuts, we also need to look at global trends in having to produce more nuts. So there are several things that we need to consider when we're talking about, okay, well, how do we get loads of nuts to the market, to the people?
To the people,
to the
nuts for the
TikTokers of the
people.
world, nuts for the people. The first one, which I think we've covered, particularly when we've talked about like nut milks in the past, which we have covered, so we're not going to do a huge amount on today, is water use. Some nuts have exceptionally high water demands as a crop. So almonds, pistachios particularly are ones that are known for this, particularly when they're grown in regions like California, which are arid regions. They're often water-stressed regions, but they've got the heat that the nuts kind of need, the nut trees, but they don't necessarily have the water resource available. So you can end up with a huge drain on what is available for the Californian communities, and quite a lot of that being diverted just to keep the almond crop surviving through the year. And a lot of this is pulled from like our fresh water, from our rivers, from our aquifers, and that is all of the places that we're also looking when we're trying to get drinking water. So you've got this sort of conversation about resource allocation and conflict between what do we really need the water for? Is it drinking, bathing, keeping hygienic, or is it sustaining the world's desire for many an almond?
Tricky one. Do you know that actually Australia is now the world's second largest almond producer?
Oh, really?
And the yields annually come in around 130 tonnes from 22 million trees.
Feels like a lot.
And it's now Australia's most valuable horticultural export.
Interesting.
I imagine a climate thing. Australia's arid and dry and large. And the annual revenue for almonds from Australia in 2025 is exceeding $1.3 billion.
Wow.
It's mad, isn't it?
Anyone that was in the nut game sort of 10 years ago is sitting pretty now.
One droop.
Yeah.
One droop.
Quite.
Australia's droop market
is valued quite highly. I mean, some nuts, obviously, it varies depending on how much water they need, but peanuts, hazelnuts and walnuts are ones that generally have smaller water footprints. Peanuts are actually legumes, which we found out when we were doing our research and we were a bit surprised, and they often need a bit less irrigation.
Okay, that's good. Good-ish.
Next up, land use and biodiversity, another thing we need to consider. When you and I set up our nut farm, which I'm going to convince you to do by the end of this.
Okay, yeah.
We need to look at our land use and biodiversity.
Okay.
So what's interesting is trees.
Trees are interesting.
Nuts. Most nuts grow on trees. They're a perennial crop, which means that you can have an orchard.
A nuttery. Orchard. Oh, is that what it's called?
Yes, I'm sure that's official.
Like a cattery.
Yeah, nuttery.
About nuts.
I feel like I've seen nuttery. On signage when I've walked through nut orchards before, and it sounds more fun than nut orchards, so we're going to go with it. But they can be a perennial crop. The orchard itself can store carbon, but also because you're not turning over the soil all the time, they can actually, their roots can go in and protect the soil from erosion and provide like a long-term habitat that sustains biodiversity locally, as opposed to one that's being turned over annually, which is very exciting. However, when we're talking biodiversity, we need to make sure that we're not planting a monoculture. Our nuttery needs to be full of many different varieties to provide lots of different ecological niches for the many insects and birds and things that we want living in our nuttery.
Yes, please.
Absolutely.
Nuttery reminds me of, I went to a cafe once and the cafe lady said, "Oh, would you like cutlery?"
Cutlery?
I said, "Oh, I'd love some cutlery, please."
Did you?
And
I
thought it was
you slipped the L back in just to be like, excuse me,
I'm just going to make a point, but also I found it so endearing that now I call it cutlery. And it also makes so much sense because you cut it.
Oh, yes.
Cutlery,
you're so
nuttery.
right. Cutlery, nuttery.
Cutlery.
Changing the game over here.
Yeah. Where were we?
Back to nutteries. Of course, deforestation, when we're talking about, any land use for agriculture, we have to think about deforestation and what the original land was that we're turning into our nuttery. So we want to be turning, like low value or cropland into our nuttery, as opposed to clearing
that wouldn't have any
lovely rainforest
that would otherwise go perhaps forgotten about or unused.
Something that's not delivering in terms of biodiversity or product. For example, cashew nuts and Brazil nut production, particularly in tropical areas, have been known to drive habitat loss because land will be cleared in order to turn it into a Brazil nuttery. And then we've got our nuttery.
Yes.
What are we doing to feed it? We need to make sure we're not using pesticides and fertilizers. We don't need to explain to our listeners why not to use those again. I feel like I've rabbited on about those, particularly in this series when we talked a lot about farming, why those are not bad, but why those are bad. But some nut crops, so if you're looking in the shops, there are some nut crops which are more likely to have been heavily treated with things that will help control pests. So pistachios and almonds are big, often likely to have
heavily treated,
interacted a lot with the old pesticides and fertilizers.
Oh no.
Yep. So, obviously look for organic. We would, our organic our nuttery would be very organic.
Nuttery.
That's a podcast for you. You and I nattering in the nuttery with our cutlery. Tongue twister.
With our pagogo nuts.
Shagbark hickory nuts. I need to go and see one of these trees and see. We'll plant one in our nuttery. We'll watch it grow.
Yeah. Also, the important thing about it being organic is it can limit damage to pollinators.
Yes.
Which is a kind of infamous, notorious, horrible side effect of nutteries and plantations for nuts from pesticides and I actually don't know too much about it, but I think the sort of general toxic cocktail of pesticides, harsh conditions like dry, arid conditions, and exposure to disease, that just as a result of huge populations of bees being in one place at one time. In the US, commercial beekeepers expect to lose around 30% of their colony to almond production each year. Apparently, European orchards are generally better in their impact to bee populations, and they use more indigenous bee populations. They don't do the horrible thing of importing bees as basically farm workers to do the pollination, and they're generally less intensive, and Spanish orchards particularly are a bit better at doing this, or Spanish nutteries.
There's a whole mad concept which I don't know if it really exists much here in the UK, but in America there's this huge industry of like migratory beekeeping. So it's like you'll be a beekeeper and you have all of your hives, and you basically rent out your hives to spend a month on a blueberry farm or a month on an almond nuttery, where your honeybees are coming in, doing the pollinating, not actually supporting biodiversity in the local area. It's really interesting. But anyway, we talked a lot about bees in a recent episode, so let's go back to nuts. One more thing, just on greenhouse gas emissions, also need to come up in conversation when we're talking about the sustainability of nuts. Compared to like animal protein, nuts are thought of being a much lower greenhouse gas producing food stuff. The argument is often around like transport emissions, but that's thought to be relatively minor if you're comparing that to the production impacts. So things like soil erosion and stuff. Although obviously if you're buying in fresh nuts from the other side of the world.
Fresh hot nuts.
Yeah. Speaking of hot nuts, one of my favourite things at Christmas is the guy somewhere doing chestnuts. Chestnuts.
The greenhouse gas emissions are a tricky one, aren't they? Because I think a lot of people, especially people who want to champion a plant-based diet, they add nuts to their diet to get all the minerals that they may not be getting from dairy products or animal products. And nuts kind of have this image of being a much more sustainable option than dairy. But then that gets a bit muddy when we start talking about nut milks and everything, which we've done in previous episodes. But yeah, it's there's pros and cons to each.
There is a surefire way to ensure that the nuts that you are eating have not travelled internationally. Go foraging. Tis the answer.
Yeah.
Even in cities, so I live in Bath, there are hazelnut trees, walnut trees. I can get a year's supply of hazelnuts and walnuts
this year, I think.
Nuts are having quite a moment.
Yeah.
All fruits are doing very well. Peeled fruits and nuts.
I think a lot of people assume that you can't get nuts in this country.
Absolute bonkers. Can't wait to... obviously we can't grow things like Brazil nuts. But what's really interesting and quite worrying in some ways is that the way our climate's shifting is that now you've got things like hazelnuts and walnuts, which weren't necessarily used as like commercial products. Now that it's getting warmer, the trees are starting to crop more heavily, making them commercially viable.
Okay.
So there is a growing market for UK grown
nutteries.
Yeah, hazelnuts, walnuts, cob nuts.
There we go. There's also, just to dwell on the problems a tiny bit longer, I think it would be remiss of us to talk about nuts and not talk a bit about the sort of social and ethics.
Lovely.
That are involved, or not, or lack of, in the harvesting process around the world. There was it's almost 10 years old now, but a really brilliant article in The Guardian said that more than 60% of the cashews consumed globally are processed in India. Once they're harvested, the cashews are sent for processing, which takes place in factories and even in some workers' homes. And shelling the shelling the nuts to access the cashew is a really labour-intensive process. It's usually done by hand. It's usually done by women. Usually done by women who are earning at most maybe 30p a day. Shelling nuts by hand, I cannot imagine how painful that would be.
That's got to be tricky.
Often, many of the women and the workers were suffering from permanent hand damage from the corrosive liquid that sort of, I guess, is it a chemical reaction when you're handling the nuts? It's sort of the reaction with the skin? Or
I guess so.
Is it a liquid that... I guess
it probably depends on the nuts. But I can tell you from experience that walnuts will stain your hands black for like 3 days.
Oh my gosh, you're like Dumbledore. Handling a Horcrux.
That's way better than I just thought I looked grubby. So basically, with a walnut, when you get it fresh off the tree, which listeners, I implore you to try and do this year, send me pictures and I will post pictures of the walnuts that I found. There's nothing more exciting.
Send Emma pictures of your nuts. You heard it here first.
Well, I'm going to send you anything I get
Shelled
sent.
nuts, please. So. Shelled only.
Green outer layer, and basically, although it looks green, cracking that off to get to the harder bit, something in the chemicals stains your hands like a deep brown. And what you should do, if you've done it before, what you do is you gather up all of your walnuts and you leave them in like a sunny place. I left them in my like little plastic greenhouse last year for a couple of weeks, and that outer casing gets kind of mulchy, turns a bit black, gets a bit gungy, and then go in with gloves, pluck out your the bit that looks like a brain and leave that residue behind, and then dispose of the gloves or wash the gloves. Because if you do what I did the first year, which was bundle in with full enthusiasm and not a huge amount of Googling, because we found them in the middle of Bath. And I was like, oh my God.
Middle of a city.
Literally in the middle of a city, there's walnut trees. And I can't believe it. Nobody was picking walnuts in the middle of Bath. So I did. And yeah, it just, tearing off this kind of like outer layer meant that all my fingers and like right up in under the nails were just brown and black for a week. And it was pretty grim. So yeah, maybe that is, I don't know if that applies to lots of other nuts, because with the hazelnut you don't have, because the hazelnut's a true nut, you don't have the fleshy exterior. So that's another one that's really easy to find. Right. You are never going to be too far from a hazelnut, lads, let me tell you. You don't need to crack off like a soft bit that's full of chemicals. You just get them when they're a bit green. Otherwise the squirrels get to them first. Let them ripen on your windowsill, let them dry out, then crack them. And you can roast them and you can stick them in granola. You can blitz them into like a Nutella-y vibe thing. You can put them in bread. Stay tuned for my cookbook.
I made Nutella recently.
Did you?
Homemade Nutella.
Get on.
So nice. Just literally roasted hazelnuts. I was going to say, and that's it.
So just the nuts.
Roasted hazelnuts.
Maybe some cocoa in there.
Some melted dark chocolate. And then in a blender for like 10 minutes. Oh my gosh, so good.
I'll be delivering you some nuts later for processing.
Will you?
Yes, I will.
So yeah, I mean, we've got, happily, there's a lot we can do to enjoy nuts, but perhaps in a greener way. But I think...
Sorry for laughing at that.
There's a nod to the need for fair trade and clarity in supply chain networks and things like that to ensure that nuts aren't exploiting human labour.
And organic as well. Those are the two things you've got to be looking for.
Yeah, totally. Because I think even as, that article in The Guardian was old, but there's still production facilities for sure that are not putting their workers' health at the top of the at the top of the food chain.
Well,
as top priority. And I think as the demand for nuts as a dietary staple, particularly in the West, ever increases.
It's not going anywhere, is it?
It's not going anywhere.
It's not. But there are times, may I shine a light on the brilliance of nuts, where nuts can also be a bit of a climate solution.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued to see what you found here. I'm excited about this.
Well, good.
Tell me more.
I will, thank you.
Permission to go forth.
I mentioned that some farmers are looking at nuts, as a new crop because they're becoming
in this country
more and more versatile and easy to grow in the UK, including our pals at Riverford.
Hi, Riverford.
Love what you do. And so I think in terms of farm businesses, we're looking at climate resilience, not just of like, your soil and your crops, but also like your economic income. So diversifying the farm and adding a nuttery is also offering new income streams to farms that are wondering, okay, well, how am I going to survive the next 20, 30 years when the climate's getting hotter? So that's quite exciting, particularly now they're sort of yielding quite well. But there was a really interesting BBC reported that basically planting nut trees on cropland will store more carbon, even when you're accounting for like the whole supply chain. Those nuts can be removing carbon up to 1.3 kilograms of CO2 for every kilogram of nut produced.
Really? More carbon than what? Traditional cropland?
I've got to assume so.
Traditional crops.
I
I mean,
think
it
that's
makes
what I read,
sense,
yeah.
right? A whole tree versus with
Yeah,
a root
this is the
system
thing.
versus, and bearing fruit versus a swathe of rye or
Yeah.
barley.
And those carbon capturing benefits keep on going until the tree reaches maturity. That tends to be about 20 years old. And at that point, you've also then got a secondary product because nut wood, is stop. Things like
No, do go on.
walnut wood is beautiful. You can make so much cool stuff out of hazel and walnut wood, and it's, and then you can replant your nuttery, regenerate your orchard, but you've got
cycle begins again.
You've got your wood in the shed to do something with, make some nice furniture, maybe. Spoken
Love
like
that.
a true carpenter.
Really, it was.
Okay, and do you know what I found really exciting in my Googling was that there are fruit and nut trees eligible under the Elms Agroforestry Scheme.
Elms in Environmental Land Management Scheme.
Absolutely, you know it. So this is basically a scheme, government-funded scheme, where farmers and landowners can be paid to do things that are environmentally
Very good
positive.
scheme.
Public money for public good is the sort of phrase.
Classic. Do you work in the environment sector?
Stop. No, it just means I'm spilling all the jargon all the time, and I can never remember like
fall
how
out
to
of your mouth.
communicate with normal people. But I went through the list
Yeah.
because I'm fun like that, and there are loads of trees that come under the scheme, including lots of different varieties of apple, pear, quince, and cherry and plum. But exciting to see walnut, sweet chestnut, hazelnut, and cobnut. We've barely even mentioned sweet chestnut. That is a good winter staple of the British
chestnut.
diet. Yum.
Is that, well, I made a mushroom stroganoff the other day.
Stop, Martha Stewart.
I know. And one of the best things ever. Butterbean mash.
Lovely.
Who needs potatoes when you have
Wait,
butterbeans?
what? Yes.
Butterbeans, olive oil, salt, pepper, bit of garlic if you want, bit of water.
Delicious.
Mash it with a,
When
not
are you going
ideally
to invite us
a
around for dinner?
blender. That's me with the blender. That's me.
Sorry, we've gone from mashing to...
What is it called? A stick blender. That's what.
Oh, like
Just do the sound effect. Just take a second to think of the word.
I'm with you now. The one that goes in the pot.
Yeah, it's when you make soup.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, cool.
I'm with you.
Yeah, I did that. Really good texture, good flavour, very filling, high protein.
And you put chestnuts in?
Why did I say that? Oh, yes, I put chestnuts in the stroganoff.
Where did you buy
Mushrooms.
your chestnuts from?
Sainsbury's.
But are they selling them as like the dried
Vacuum
nuts?
packed.
Or, oh, right, so shelled vacuum packed.
Vacuum packed, yeah. That's a lot.
Fair. I suppose for the period of time where they're not in fruit, which they're not currently, they're like a November crop, then, yeah.
Probably foraged last year.
More than likely.
Yeah. But
More
then,
than likely.
are you saying that I could forage for sweet chestnuts
I'm saying that you should.
and roast them myself and then add
Yes.
them to my mushroom stroganoff?
As is often... that sounds so good. Doesn't that sound like
Bit
a
of,
future
you know
want
what
to
you
live
need
in?
on the top? Bit of harissa. When you serve it,
Ooh,
harissa dolloped on top of the stroganoff.
Big fan.
Oh, so good.
big fan. Yes.
Yeah.
Let's go foraging for
Chestnuts.
chestnuts.
The stroganoff.
Sweet chestnuts and also for horse chestnuts. But you don't eat horse chestnuts.
Famously.
We'll get on to that later.
Okay.
But both chestnuts at the same time have useful benefits for us and grow all over the place.
Also, so
in the UK.
satisfying to find a nut. My mother-in-law has a walnut tree in their garden, and as you've relayed already, walnuts are quite an art to extract from their house. But she had a bowl full of walnuts. She was like, "Would you like a walnut?" And I was like, "Yes, please." And then she's like, "They just
Screw
came
this
from
one.
over there."
Yeah.
It's like,
I gave, I think,
made with love.
I
or
gave
shelled
some
with love.
people walnuts for Christmas once, and they were just like, "Why are you giving me a bag of nuts?" And I was like, "No,
Sorry,
this has
did you
taken
just
me
go to
hours."
Aldi and buy
And it's like,
a packet of nuts?
I appreciate I could have spent £2 on walnuts in Lidl for you.
They tasted so
But this
good.
is hours of...
No, they were good. And they had a really rich colour, rich brown. They weren't the kind of pale thing.
Remaining on agroforestry for a small period, there's potential to not just grow your nuttery under an elm scheme. Because they're trees, because they're perennial, you can grow stuff under the trees. You can dual purpose the land, which is really exciting. You can put other things in around the base of the trees. I mean, some nut trees produce something called juglone, which I'm, again, not sure how I pronounce that, but it's a chemical that some plants are not tolerant of. But if you can grow things like juniper or certain berries, like elderberry, in the same space, then you get two things coming out of your nuttery. So we could have a juniper part
Gin
of
and
our
nuts.
zone so that we can do our gin, and then when we sell our gin, we serve it with nuts. Hump nuts. Oh, isn't it great?
Where did hump nuts come from?
Wednesday nuts.
Oh yeah.
Probably something to do with the shag bark hickory nut.
Or filbert knocking around again.
Tree crops can also help farms buffer against climate extremes in the sense that their roots will go so much deeper because they're there for so much longer. They can access water that's much deeper in the ground. So during drought, they might be more resilient than a grassy crop. What did you have on solutions? The rest of my stuff is other
Well, I was reading
bits.
an interesting thing about peanuts, as you do.
Yeah, of course.
And they grow underground. They catch nitrogen from the air. They release it back to the ground, returns it to the ground. And, I mean, nitrogen is the limiting factor for growth across life on Earth. And they need to suck nitrogen out of the soil to grow. I mean, it sounds like that they have a good chance of being good for soil health.
Yeah.
And could, again, be a bit like you were saying with nut trees. You can do stuff as well. There can be lots going on. There could be lots going on in the same patch of earth.
Interesting.
Peanuts growing, crops needing it, like maize or corn. But yeah,
cool.
again, I would think that going organic with peanuts or any nut.
All the nuts need to be organic. There are some kind of, should we talk secondary uses? We've talked a lot about nuts as consumption.
Yes.
Like the actual thing. But also there are lots of things that you can do with like the other bits after you've initially harvested the product. So I read about something called nut press cake, which is sort of like all the bits.
press
Well, you know, we use a lot. We haven't even talked about nut oil, but nuts are very good for their oils.
Yeah.
But once you've extracted the oil, you end up with like sort of a fibrous, mass. You get sort of everything that's left over. That's known as a nut press cake, full of protein and can be used as livestock feed.
Oh, okay. So it's not for us.
No, but you're welcome to
I was
try
thinking like
it.
a seeded loaf.
A nut press cake.
Nut press
Yeah.
cake.
And
That's
then with
interesting.
the shells.
So it's like using all of
every
all
part
of the animal,
it.
every part of the plant, that kind of thing.
And with the shells, you can use that as like a mulch. So either in your garden when you're using like weed suppression, or I mean, somebody's also described it as decorative. I'm not sure how pretty necessarily. It might be very pretty. Just loads of shells in your garden.
Perhaps, yeah.
Could be.
Yeah.
Could be. But it's obviously something that slowly decomposes. So you're not using like a plastic mulch. It's in place of your tree bark and stuff.
Yeah, I wonder if also it could be like good housing for insects, like good refugia
Oh, yeah.
for insects. Like, in a bug hotel, it's like woody, planty, kind of structural dynamic.
Slap a few nutshells in there
Some
as well.
nutshells.
Bit of diverse ecosystem. I like it.
Solitary bee might take interest.
Might do. Very nice. I'm imagining, no, I'll tell you where my brain was going. I was imagining lots of different types of nutshells, all be different sizes, a bit like a hermit crab.
Oh,
They could all find their perfect nutshell.
Or like an octopus could assemble like a castle of treasures.
Yes.
But we're not under the water
Don't
here.
go scattering
Yeah.
peanut shells.
Let's ignore that.
Here for the
Not
octopus.
good for octopus. Well, yeah, okay.
That we know, yeah.
Back to land.
Walnuts, back in the amazingness of walnuts, you don't just need to consume them. If you have wooden furniture that's a bit scratched,
Yeah.
the best thing to do, half a walnut, rub it on. Cleans the scratch right up.
No.
So oily. Honestly,
Well, the walnut is in the thing that you would eat.
the actual fleshy bit of the walnut.
Would it not scratch the wood?
No, because
It's
it's
the
quite
oil.
oily and melty in its own way. You know how quickly like a walnut will sort of compress?
I'm going to be there like...
Yeah, no, give it a good rub into your wooden furniture. If you scratch like a worktop, it's brilliant.
Yes.
And it protects it as well because the oil,
Have
it
you
will
ever
naturally
rubbed a
seal.
nut on wood?
I have.
Scratch wood?
A walnut specifically.
Did it work?
Yes, looks great. We did it on our kitchen worktop.
Did you?
Yes.
Does it smell a bit walnutty?
I didn't clock a smell, no, but that would have been a good benefit.
I'm going to do it.
But would
You
recommend.
know what? I'm going to do it.
Do you know what? I'm going to come round. Your kitchen
Not gonna
extension is
overthink
just
it,
going to
I'm
be
just gonna
full
do it.
of walnuts. Yeah.
Jake is going to come home and I'm going to be like...
What have you done? Something else for you to do
Oh,
as
my
well,
cross-eyed
which we're
there.
coming into the
Yeah.
season of. I said we were going to go foraging for chestnuts, horse chestnuts.
Yes, please.
As well as the sweet chestnut. Horse chestnut, important to caveat, you don't eat horse chestnut. And when I say horse chestnut, most people are more
Conkers.
familiar with them under the name of conker.
Yeah.
Horse chestnuts, and they've had a bit of a rise on socials in the last couple of years. Might just be the channels that I'm following, but I feel
Your
like
algorithm is full of
suddenly,
horse chestnut.
yeah, this time of year it will be. Suddenly, this time last year, everybody was like, "I'm making my laundry detergent out of horse
Oh,
chestnuts,"
my
and I was
goodness,
like,
you talked
"Yeah, I've
about
been
this,
doing this for years." catch up. That's very, yeah.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, no, it is okay.
You have been doing it for years.
But, you know, that's like, I should be happy that everybody's like, hey, look, amazing natural solution on our doorstep.
Lots of people doing it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'll put my recipe for laundry detergent on the Instagram.
Yeah, and I think we've spoken about it before.
Get rid of the green spiky husk. Get rid of the outer sort of shiny brown layer of the horse chestnut. You only want the yellow bit, and then you either blend it up or chop it up so you've got small chunks. I then dry that out, so I've got a permanent jar of dried little chunks. When you need laundry detergent, pour like some of those into a glass with some boiling water. That releases all the soapy components from it, and then you use that liquid in the drum with your washing. It doesn't make it smell, so if you love a perfumed sort of bit of laundry, it's not really for you, but no chemicals, does a good bit of cleaning, particularly for things like towels.
The machine's okay with it?
I've never had a problem with it. You don't put the chunks in themselves,
okay.
You just put the liquid in.
Just pour the whole nut.
Good. It's good. Yeah, good to clarify.
Why? Has the washing machine blown up?
Why is this our third washing machine in a year? Just yeah. So there's lots of other nut products that are not just
That's cool.
eating.
Yeah, very much. Omni, polymath, as it were. That's what I want to say. What can we do then? What else can we do to enjoy nuts, but perhaps in a slightly more mindful way? I want to talk about peanuts again. So peanuts have among the lowest water footprints of nuts. They've got a low carbon footprint compared to other nuts like almonds. We're talking about water, land use, all of that sort of stuff that we talked about earlier. And they actually have the lowest carbon footprint of all the nuts, all the kind of major nuts listed. I also wanted to talk about seeds. Can we talk about
I'm
seeds?
joking. Yeah.
Yeah?
I was like, we need a whole episode on seeds.
Seeds. So seeds, especially pumpkin seeds, take up to 90 times fewer litres of water to produce than almonds, which makes them an immediately more sustainable option.
And we grow pumpkins very well here in the UK.
We grow pumpkins really well.
We never bloody eat them.
We never
They're
eat
just
them.
decorative, which
I'm
annoys
also now
me.
thinking of like butternut squash seeds.
Oh, they're
things like
delicious.
that.
Just roast those up.
Totally.
So good
roast
with a
it
bit
all
of salt.
together. So a lot of blogs and things that I was reading online said that selecting seeds over tree nuts for similar health benefits, protein, vitamins, all of that, for plant-based nourishment might help immediately reduce water scarcity and water pressure.
I like it.
Especially more those water-stressed areas like Australia, California. So if you want to have, if you're busy and you're like, I don't have time to forage for nuts, I don't have time to do this, that, and the other. So unrelatable.
How does nobody? Why is that not your number one go-to?
If you're in Lidl or wherever other supermarkets occur, and you want to try and be healthy and choose healthy snacks, but reduce your water consumption, reach for the seeds.
So maybe for every handful of nuts you eat, have a handful of seeds.
Seeds are delicious. If you roast them in the oven for a bit, they release all their natural oils and establish a good crunch. So much yummier than just straight out of the bag.
Nice. That is a hot tip.
Seed toppers, top anything.
Chuck
we
it
put
on your
seeds on
breakfast.
anything.
Yeah, I've heard that about you.
Yeah, have you? Do you like that about me?
I do like that about you. Oh, it's the end of the day, lads.
Yeah.
Are we tired? No, we should probably have a handful of seeds and get our brains going again.
What else can we do then?
Forage for your own nuts.
Yeah, forage for your own.
Look for nuts that have been grown more locally, if possible. I would suggest going to your local greengrocers or farmers markets because you're likely, particularly when it's seasonally available, to find chestnuts or walnuts or hazelnuts. There's a particularly big variety of hazelnut. It's not even, well, they're called cob nuts. So you might see them written as cob nuts, but they're basically just big hazelnuts and they grow really well here. And I've seen those in my local greengrocers around this time of year. And you could also just forage for them yourself. But if you wanted to try getting into locally grown nuts, head to your greengrocers because they're likely to have come from like a local farm that's put hazel in maybe as part of a nuttery or maybe even as part of a hedgerow.
So that's a way to kind of effectively forage, but you don't have to do it yourself.
Someone's done it for you.
Someone's done it for you.
So
nice.
The supermarket.
The staff have done it for you.
Get your local people to do your foraging. Pay me, I'll do your foraging.
Yeah, she actually will though.
Find me in the hedgerows.
Of an evening.
Obviously, opt for fair trade. And we should always say, just to echo your point there, moderate consumption. Even though these might be better foods than some, they still have their impacts. You don't need to live exclusively on Brazil nuts.
I don't know if you've ever eaten too many nuts, but your body definitely tells you when you've had too many nuts. I don't think I don't think I have. What does your body tell you? It just blocks you up.
Lovely. And on that note, thank you very much for listening to this absolute car crash of an episode of For What It's Worth. It might be one of our best, actually. It might be one of our best. Who knows? Yeah. It was brought to you, of course, with support from our friends at Yo Valley Organic.
If you loved what you've listened to...
Why would you not?
You may well want to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss a single episode. We have, if you can believe, still got some amazing episodes lined up that we're very excited to get recording and sharing with you. And it just helps us reach new listeners who might be interested in nuts or whales or farming and dairy and...
Moss, makeup, AI,
jinx.
We did not plan that.
No, we didn't. So yeah, come and subscribe.
For more from us, you can join us on Instagram. We're there hanging about at For What It's Worth podcast. And that's one of the places which you can use to get in touch with us to become part of an upcoming episode. Every other week we do listeners' questions episodes. You send us down all sorts of weird and wonderful rabbit holes. Think more nut-adjacent conversation. Send us your question. We'll see what we can find and answer it on an upcoming episode.
You can send us an email at forwhatit'sworthpod@gmail.com, DM us on Instagram, send us a voice note. We love all of that. Please keep them coming in.
We do. You can also support the podcast by sending us a donation of nuts. Sign up to support us through Ko-Fi.
It can be as little as the cost of a coffee, but it goes a long way to helping us cover the costs of making this podcast a thing, all the editing and recording software and the hosting fees and that sort of thing. It really, really does help.
Yeah, listen, Mark's going to have a hell of a job editing this one into something, probably getting rid of a few too many giggles. Let's keep us in business. Thank you to those of you who already use Ko-Fi. You're absolute legends. We love you.
We do very much. And if you want more of What It's Worth and you would like to wear it or have it as an accessory, you can buy a t-shirt or a bag. We have a T-Mill store and we would love to see you wearing them.
Sure. I'll sit in the hedgerows. Yep. All of the links you need are going to be in the episode description.
Kind regards.
Best wishes. Goodbye. For What It's Worth is hosted and produced by Emma Brisdion and Sophie Pavelle and mixed and edited by Mark Skinner.